They say fate has a twisted sense of humor. One moment, Elena Bennett was arranging roses in her Brooklyn flower shop, worried about rent and Valentine's orders. The next, she was running through rain-soaked alleys, a Mafia heir's hand locked around hers, bullets shattering the life she'd built. His name was Adrian Moretti, dangerous, beautiful, and completely off-limits. He told her he'd been watching her, protecting her, that she was already in too deep. She told him to go to hell. He smiled and said, "After you." This is the story of how a florist fell in love with Brooklyn's most wanted man, and how he burned the world down to keep her safe. Chapter 1. The rain came down hard that Thursday night, turning North 7th Street into a river of neon reflections and forgotten umbrellas. Inside petal bloom flowers, Elena Bennett was drowning. Not literally, though the Valentine's orders piled so high on her counter it felt close. 27 bouquets needed finishing by tomorrow morning. 27 couples expecting flowers that said "I love you" better than they ever could. Elena's fingers moved through stems with practiced efficiency. White lilies. Blush roses. Baby's breath tucked between like whispered secrets. She'd been doing this for 5 years, ever since she'd saved enough to open this tiny shop wedged between a vintage record store and an overpriced coffee house. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again. With a sigh, Elena grabbed it, tucking it between her shoulder and ear while her hands continued working. "Please don't tell me you're still at the shop." Sophie's voice came through, equal parts exasperated and concerned. Sophie Chen had been Elena's best friend since college, the only person who'd stuck around after Elena's parents died. Currently a graphic designer in Manhattan, Sophie had made it her personal mission to ensure Elena had something resembling a social life. She was failing spectacularly. "It's Valentine's week," Elena said, trimming a rose stem at a precise angle. "This is literally my Super Bowl. It's 9 o'clock at night. In a thunderstorm. In a neighborhood that gets sketchy after dark. Williamsburg isn't sketchy anymore. It's all artisanal coffee and overpriced vintage shops. Tell that to the 3 muggings reported this week." Sophie's keyboard clicked in the background. She was probably working late too. "Marcus and I are worried about you." Marcus was Sophie's boyfriend, a software engineer who was sweet, boring, and perfect for her. The kind of guy who brought soup when you were sick and remembered birthdays. Elena tried not to be jealous. Tried and mostly failed. "I'm fine, sophomore. I promise. Just 2 more bouquets and I'm heading home." "You said that an hour ago." "This time I mean it." "Elena. I have to go. Customer." The lie came easily. "Love you. Talk tomorrow." She hung up before Sophie could protest. The shop was silent except for rain hammering the windows and the soft classical music Elena played while working. Debussy. Her mother's favorite. Elena's hands stilled for a moment, grief catching her unexpectedly. Even after 9 years, it still happened. Random moments when she'd remember her mother humming along to Debussy, or her father's terrible jokes, or the way they'd both been so proud when she opened the shop. They'd died 3 days before the grand opening. Black ice on the Long Island Expressway. Gone in an instant. Elena shook off the memory, forcing her attention back to the flowers. Dwelling didn't help. Work did. Creating beauty did. She was reaching for another stem when the door chimed. Elena's head snapped up, her heart jumping. The sign clearly said closed. The door should have been locked. Should have been. But she'd forgotten. Again. A man stood in the doorway. Elena's breath caught. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that filled the entrance. His black wool coat was soaked through, rain dripping onto her hardwood floor. Dark hair, almost black, was pushed back from a face that looked like it belonged on a movie screen. Sharp jaw. High cheekbones. A nose that had been broken at least once. But it was his eyes that made Elena's pulse race. Steel gray. Intense. Fixed on her with a focus that felt physical. This was not a customer looking for last-minute roses. This was something else entirely. "We're closed," Elena managed, her voice steadier than she felt. The man stepped inside. The door closed behind him with a soft click, the automatic lock engaging. Elena's mind screamed at her to run. To grab her phone. To do something. Instead, she stood frozen, watching this stranger invade her space with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. "Elena Bennett?" His voice matched everything else about him. Deep. Smooth. The kind of voice that wrapped around your spine and squeezed. How do you know my name? Her hand drifted toward the scissors on her workstation. It's on the window. Your shop. He gestured behind him without looking. Petal Bloom. Owner, Elena Bennett. EST 2020. Relief and embarrassment flooded through her. Of course. The window. Right. Sorry. It's late and I'm jumpy. She forced a smile. But we really are closed. If you come back tomorrow. I need a bouquet tonight. I don't do same-day orders this late. I'll pay extra. It's not about money. Everything's about money. He moved closer, stopping at the counter. Name your price. Elena's irritation sparked. She didn't care how handsome he was or how expensive his coat looked. She was exhausted, behind on orders, and in no mood for entitled rich boys who thought money solved everything. The prices come back tomorrow. During business hours. Like a normal person. Something flickered in those gray eyes. Surprise? Amusement? I'm not a normal person. I'm getting that impression. But I do need flowers. Tonight. It's important. There was something in the way he said it, something vulnerable beneath the command, that made Elena hesitate. Why tonight? What's so urgent? The man was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Because I've been putting this off for 3 years. And if I don't do it now, I might never do it. Elena studied him. Really looked at him this time. Underneath the expensive clothes and commanding presence, he looked tired. Shadows under his eyes. Tension in his shoulders. The expression of someone carrying weight they'd held so long they'd forgotten what it felt like to put it down. She knew that expression. Saw it in her mirror every day. Fine, Elena heard herself say. What kind of bouquet? Relief flashed across his face, brief but unmistakable. Something that says I'm sorry. Sorry for what? For not being there. For failing someone I loved. For letting too much time pass. Elena's throat tightened. Someone who died? 3 years ago. She understood now. This wasn't about romance or celebration. This was about grief. And Elena knew grief intimately. Okay. She moved to her workstation, selecting stems with care. White roses for remembrance. Forget-me-nots for memories. Lilies for the soul's restoration. And eucalyptus for protection, because even in death, we want to protect the people we love. She worked in silence, aware of him watching her. His gaze felt different now. Less predatory. More curious. You do this often? Arrange funeral flowers at night for strange men, he asked. You'd be surprised how often people need flowers after hours. Grief doesn't work on a schedule. No, it doesn't. Elena finished the arrangement, simple, elegant, heartbreaking in its sincerity. She wrapped it in brown paper, tied it with twine. There. She held it out. He took it carefully, like it was something precious. His fingers brushed hers, just for a second, but the contact sent electricity up her arm. It's perfect, he said quietly. Thank you. $45. He pulled out his wallet, extracting several $100 bills. Keep the change. That's way too much. It's not about the flowers. It's about you staying open. About kindness when you could have turned me away. He set the money on the counter. Take it. Please. Elena wanted to argue. Wanted to maintain her pride. But rent was due in 3 days and she was $200 short. Thank you, she said quietly. He nodded, moving toward the door. Then paused, looking back. You should lock your door. Don't stay here alone after dark. Why not? Because this neighborhood isn't as safe as you think. And beautiful women working alone are targets. Before Elena could respond to that, to the casual way he'd called her beautiful, he was gone. Disappeared into the rain like a ghost. Elena stood in her empty shop, staring at several $100s and trying to process what just happened. That's when she saw it. A business card placed carefully beside the money. Heavy cardstock. Expensive. 3 words in raised black lettering. Adrian Moretti. Elena's blood ran cold. Moretti. She'd heard that name before. Everyone in Brooklyn had. The Morettis ran half the borough's underworld. Shipping, construction, waste management, legitimate businesses with illegitimate foundations. They were old-school mafia. Powerful. Untouchable. And she'd just made a bouquet for one of them. Elena's hands shook as she grabbed her phone, her purse, the money. She should call Sophie. Call the police. Call someone. But what would she say? A handsome man bought flowers and tipped well? She was being paranoid. Ridiculous. Except, she thought of what he told her, lock your door. This neighborhood isn't as safe as you think. How did he know she usually stayed late? How did he know to find her here? Elena grabbed her coat, shutting off lights with trembling fingers. She locked the door finally and stepped into the rain. The street was nearly empty. Just a few people hurrying to the subway, heads down against the weather. Normal. Elena walked quickly toward the L train station, her mind racing. She'd go home. Take a hot shower. Forget this entire strange encounter. She made it 2 blocks before she noticed the car. Black sedan. Tinted windows. Driving slowly beside her. Matching her pace. Elena's heart hammered. She walked faster. The car accelerated slightly, staying with her. This was bad. She pulled out her phone, ready to call 911. The sedan pulled ahead, cutting her off. The back door opened. A man stepped out, different from Adrian. Broader. Heavily built. Cold eyes. Miss Bennett. Get in the car. No, Elena backed up, her thumb hovering over the emergency button. Wasn't a request. His hand moved his jacket. Reaching for something. A gun. Elena ran. She didn't think. Just acted on pure instinct. Turned and sprinted back the way she'd come, her sneakers splashing through puddles. Behind her, shouting. Footsteps. They were chasing her. Elena's lungs burned. Her legs pumped. She'd never been athletic, spent most of her time hunched over flowers, but fear gave her speed. She ducked into an alley between buildings. Dark. Narrow. Lined with dumpsters. Footsteps echoed behind her. Getting closer. A hand grabbed her arm. Elena screamed, twisting, her hand still clutching her keys. She swung wildly, the keys catching her attacker across the face. He cursed, releasing her. She ran again. Out the other side of the alley onto Berry Street. Traffic rushed past. People. Witnesses. Safety. But the men were still behind her. A different car screeched to a stop beside her, sleek, black, expensive. The passenger door flew open. Get in. A man's voice. Familiar. Marco, the same man from the sedan. No, wait. Different. This man had a scar across his jaw. Now, Bennett. They're right behind you. Elena looked back. Saw 2 men emerging from the alley. Saw guns. She dove into the car. They were moving before she even closed the door. What the fuck is happening? Elena gasped, her entire body shaking. The driver didn't take his eyes off the road. You're in danger. Have been for 3 days. From who? Russians. Volkov's crew. The name meant nothing to Elena. But the fear in the driver's voice, controlled but present, told her everything. Why? I don't know any Russians. I don't know anything. You know Adrian Moretti. I just met him. 30 minutes ago. Doesn't matter. They've been watching him. Watching who he pays attention to. The driver took a sharp turn, tires squealing. You became a target the moment he walked into your shop. Elena's mind reeled. This is insane. Let me out. I'll go to the police. Police can't help you. Not with this. Then what? Hold on. The driver yanked the wheel hard. They screeched around a corner. Elena slammed against the door, pain radiating through her shoulder. Behind them, another vehicle gave chase. Bigger. More aggressive. They're gaining, the driver said calmly. Too calmly. Boss isn't going to like this. Boss? You mean Moretti? Yeah. He's going to lose his shit when he finds out they got this close to you. Why does he care? He doesn't know me. The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. He's been watching you for 3 weeks, Miss Bennett. Trust me. He cares. 3 weeks. Adrian Moretti had been watching her for 3 weeks. The realization should have terrified her. Should have made her angrier. Instead, some twisted part of her brain whispered, he noticed me. She shoved that thought down viciously. The chase continued through Brooklyn streets. The driver, she still didn't know his name, maneuvered with professional skill. Taking turns that shouldn't be possible. Running lights. Weaving through traffic. Finally, they lost their pursuers. Or thought they did. They pulled up to a brownstone in Red Hook. Quiet street. Nice neighborhood. Out. Quickly. Elena stumbled from the car, her legs weak. The driver grabbed her arm, not rough, but firm, and pulled her toward the house. The door opened before they reached it. Adrian Moretti stood backlit in the doorway. He'd changed since the shop. No coat. Just dark jeans and a black Henley that fit him like a second skin. His hair was damp from a recent shower. He looked domestic. Normal. Except for the gun holstered at his hip. His gray eyes locked on Elena. Scanned her quickly, checking for injuries, she realized. Inside. Now. The driver, whose name she learned was Marco, pushed her gently through the door. Elena found herself in a beautiful home. Hardwood floors. Exposed brick. Warm lighting. The kind of place featured in design magazines. Not what she'd expected from a Mafia safe house. Adrian closed the door, engaging 3 separate locks. Then he turned to her, his expression intense. Are you hurt? No. Scared. Confused. Angry. But not hurt. Good. Some of the tension left his shoulders. Marco, report. 2 of Volkov's men tried to grab her on North 8th. She fought back, got one of them pretty good with her keys, and ran. I intercepted on Barry. Adrian's jaw tightened. They were waiting outside her shop. Looks like. Which means they've been watching longer than we thought. Yeah. The 2 men stared at each other, having an entire conversation without words. Elena's temper, carefully controlled until now, finally snapped. Excuse me. Both men looked at her. Would someone please explain what the hell is going on? Who are these Russians? Why do they want me? And why, she pointed at Adrian, have you been stalking me for 3 weeks? Adrian's expression shifted. Became carefully neutral. Marco, give us a minute. Boss? A minute. Marco nodded and disappeared deeper into the house. Adrian moved closer to Elena slowly. Carefully. Like approaching a spooked horse. I haven't been stalking you. Watching me without my knowledge or consent. That's literally the definition of stalking. I've been protecting you. From what? From this. From men trying to grab you off the street. But they only tried to grab me because you were watching me. So you created the danger you're protecting me from. Elena's voice rose. Do you see how insane that is? Yes. The simple admission surprised her. I see exactly how insane it is. And I'm sorry. Truly. This isn't what I wanted. Then what did you want? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. His gray eyes held hers, and Elena saw something she hadn't expected. Vulnerability. I saw you. 3 weeks ago. I was meeting someone at the coffee shop next to your shop. And while I waited, I looked through your window. He took a breath. You were arranging tulips. Humming to yourself. You had paint on your jeans and dirt under your nails. And you looked happy. Genuinely, unself-consciously happy. And I realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen someone look like that. His voice dropped lower. So I came back. The next day. And the day after. Just to watch you work. Just to remember what happiness looked like. Elena's anger wavered. That's creepy? Obsessive? Inappropriate? I was going to say sad. Adrian's expression flickered. Yeah, it is. But it doesn't excuse this. Doesn't excuse dragging me into your world without warning. You're right. It doesn't. He stepped back, giving her space. Which is why I'm going to end this. Tonight. And what? The threat. Volkov. All of it. How? Adrian's expression went cold. Hard. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by something colder. By doing what I should have done weeks ago. By removing the problem permanently. Elena's stomach dropped. You mean kill him? Yes. The casualness of it, the matter-of-fact way he discussed murder, made Elena's head spin. I can't be part of this, she whispered. You don't have to be. You just have to stay here. Stay safe. Let me handle it. And if you don't come back? Adrian moved to a desk in the corner, pulling out a key and an envelope. If I don't come back, this key opens a safety deposit box at Chase on Atlantic Avenue. Inside, you'll find cash, documents, and instructions. Marco will get you out of the country. New identity. New life. He held them out. Elena stared at the key and envelope like they were snakes. You're talking about your death like it's nothing. It's not nothing. But it's possible. And I plan for possibilities. That's insane. That's survival. Adrian pressed the items into her hand. Take them. Please. It'll help me focus tonight if I know you'll be okay either way. Elena's fingers closed around the key. I don't want your contingency plans. I want you to not go. Can't do that. Why not? Because Volkov hit one of our operations this morning. 6 men died. 6 families lost husbands and fathers. If I don't end this now, it'll be 60 dead by next week. His gray eyes were intense. I don't expect you to understand my world. Don't expect you to approve. But I need you to trust that I'm doing what needs to be done. Elena wanted to argue. Wanted to demand he find another way. But she could see in his face that there wasn't one. When, she asked quietly. Meeting's at 9 tonight. Old Domino Sugar Factory. That's in 2 hours. Yes. And you think Volkov will just show up? Let you kill him? A ghost of a smile touched Adrian's lips. No. He'll try to kill me first. That's the point. And the odds. Adrian was quiet for a moment. 60-40 in my favor. Maybe 70-30 if everything goes perfectly. Those aren't good odds. They're the best I've got. He moved toward the stairs. Come on. I'll show you where you can rest. You look exhausted. Elena followed numbly, her mind still trying to process everything. Adrian led her to a bedroom on the 2nd floor. Simple. Comfortable. With windows overlooking the harbor. There's clothes in the closet if you want to change. Bathroom through there. Lock the door if it makes you feel safer, though it won't actually stop anyone. Comforting. I promised honesty. Even when it's not comforting. He moved to leave, then paused in the doorway. For what it's worth, I am sorry. About all of this. About the danger. About disrupting your life. But not about meeting me? Adrian's gray eyes held hers. No, not about that. And then he was gone, leaving Elena alone in a stranger's house, holding a key to a life she'd never asked for. Chapter 2. Elena stood at the bedroom window, watching the sun set over the harbor. Ships moved slowly across the water, their lights beginning to flicker on as darkness crept across Brooklyn. Somewhere out there, Adrian Moretti was preparing to walk into what might be his death. And Elena couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd looked at her. Like she was something precious. Something worth protecting. She'd showered, changed into clothes she found in the closet, all in her exact size, which should have been creepy but somehow felt thoughtful, and tried to sleep. Failed miserably. Her phone buzzed. Sophie. Again. Elena had ignored the first 12 calls. But Sophie was nothing if not persistent. She answered. Hey. Oh my God, Elena. Where are you? I've been calling for hours. Are you okay? Did something happen? Elena closed her eyes. What could she possibly say? Hey, Soph. So funny story. I got kidnapped by the Mafia because a crime boss has been watching me and now there are Russians trying to kill me. How was your day? I'm fine. Just dealing with something. What something? Elena, you're scaring me. I can't really explain right now. But I promise I'm safe. Where are you? At a friend's house. What friend? You don't have friends besides me and Marcus. Sophie's voice rose with panic. Is this about that guy? The one who came into your shop? Please tell me you didn't go home with some random customer. How do you know about that? You pocket-dialed me while you were talking to him. I heard the whole thing. Elena, please tell me you're not with him. Elena's heart sank. It's complicated. Complicated? His name is Adrian Moretti. I googled him after I heard it. Do you have any idea who that family is? What they do? Yes. I'm aware. Then what the hell are you doing? I didn't have a choice, sophomore. Some men tried to grab me. Adrian's people got me out. I'm somewhere safe until this gets resolved. Silence. Then, men tried to grab you? What men? Elena, call the police. The police can't help with this. That's what he told you, isn't it? Elena, that's what they always say. You need to. Sophie. Elena's voice was firmer than she felt. I know this sounds insane. I know you're worried. But I need you to trust me. I'm safe. Adrian is. He's protecting me. Adrian. You're on a first-name basis with a mob boss. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Elena didn't have an answer. What was it like? She'd known Adrian for less than 12 hours. 12 hours that had completely upended her reality. I don't know, she admitted. But I'll call you when I can. I promise. Just don't call the police. Don't do anything. Please. Elena. I have to go. I love you. She hung up before Sophie could argue further. Guilt churned in her stomach. Sophie was her best friend. The only family she had left. And Elena had just lied to her. Well, not lied exactly. Just omitted the part where Adrian might die tonight and Elena might need to flee the country. Details. A knock at the door made her jump. "It's Marco," a voice called. "Boss set me up. Said you probably haven't eaten." Elena opened the door. Marco stood there holding a tray with what looked like pasta and bread. He was less intimidating up close, still built like a tank, but his expression was almost kind. "Thanks," Elena said, taking the tray. "You didn't have to. Boss's orders. He's very specific about people being fed." Marco shifted uncomfortably. "Can I come in for a minute? There's some things you should know." Elena hesitated, then nodded. She set the tray on the dresser and sat on the bed. Marco leaned against the door frame, maintaining a respectful distance. "I'm not great with the touchy-feely stuff," he started. "But the boss wanted me to explain some things. About tonight. About what happens if things go wrong." Elena's stomach tightened. "Okay. If Adrian doesn't come back, and I'm not saying he won't, the guys survived worse, but if he doesn't, I'm going to get a call around midnight. That's my signal to get you out. We'll have a 2-hour window before Volkov's people figure out what happened and come looking." "Come looking for me?" "Yeah, because at that point, you're either leverage or a loose end. Either way, you're a problem they'll want to solve." Elena's hands were shaking. She pressed them against her thighs. "So I just disappear? Leave everything? Everything? Your shop? Your apartment? Your friends? Your whole life? That's not fair." "No, it's not." Marco's scarred face was sympathetic. "But it's reality. This world doesn't care about fair. Why does Adrian care about me so much? He doesn't even know me." Marco was quiet for a moment, considering his words carefully. "The boss, he's not like other guys in this life. He thinks too much. Feels too much. And 3 weeks ago, he saw you through that window and something clicked. Reminded him there's still good in the world. That's a lot of pressure to put on a stranger. Tell me about it." "I've been trying to get him to actually talk to you for weeks. Finally had to practically shove him through your door tonight." Elena's eyes widened. "You knew he was going to my shop?" "Knew? I drove him there. Waited outside while he worked up the nerve to go in." Marco's expression softened. Took him 20 minutes of pacing before he finally did it. Never seen the boss nervous about anything. Despite everything, Elena felt something warm bloom in her chest. He was nervous? Terrified. Kept saying he'd change his mind. That he shouldn't drag you into this. But he couldn't stay away. Marco pushed off the doorframe. "Look, I know this is all kinds of messed up. But Adrian's a good man. Better than most in this life. If he says he'll protect you, he will. Even if it costs him everything. That's what I'm afraid of." "Yeah, me too." Marco left, closing the door behind him. Elena stared at the pasta, her appetite gone. But she forced herself to eat anyway. If she was going to potentially flee the country tonight, she needed fuel. The pasta was incredible, homemade, with a sauce that tasted like someone's grandmother had spent hours perfecting it. Despite her anxiety, Elena found herself eating every bite. She was just finishing when she heard voices downstairs. Male voices. One of them Adrian's. Elena crept to the door, opening it a crack to listen. "Insane, Adrian. Even for you." A different voice. "Younger than Adrian. Dad's going to lose his shit when he finds out you're doing this without backup. Dad doesn't need to know until it's done." "Oh, he knows." Marco called him. "You're going to have company at this meeting whether you like it or not. Luca. Don't Luca me. I'm coming. End of discussion. You're supposed to be in grad school. And you're supposed to be taking a step back from operations. Guess we're both disappointing people." Elena heard Adrian sigh heavily. "Fine. But you follow my lead. No heroics. No stupid risks," says the guy walking into an obvious trap. It's only a trap if you're not expecting it. That's not how traps work. Despite the tension, Elena heard fondness in the banter. "Brothers. This must be Luca, Adrian's younger brother." She opened the door wider, stepping into the hallway. Both men looked up. Adrian's expression shifted immediately, softening in a way that made Elena's heart skip. Luca's eyes widened. "Holy shit. You're real." "Luca," Adrian warned. Sorry. It's just, Adrian's been talking about you for weeks and I was starting to think you were imaginary. Like a really hot, florist-shaped hallucination. Luca. What? I'm being complimentary. Elena couldn't help but smile. Luca was younger than Adrian, mid-20s, probably. Same dark hair, but his eyes were more green than gray. He had an easiness to him that Adrian lacked. Less burdened. I'm Elena, she said, coming down the stairs. Luca Moretti. The better-looking brother. He extended his hand with a grin. Also the one with better social skills, clearly. I have social skills, Adrian protested. You stalked her for 3 weeks before actually talking to her. That's not social skills. That's being a creep. I was protecting her. You were too chicken to make a move. Luca turned back to Elena. For the record, I told him to just ask you out like a normal person. But no, he had to go full Mafia bodyguard about it. Luca, I swear to God. What? I'm just saying, maybe if you'd led with, "Hi, I think you're beautiful, want to get coffee," instead of lurking outside her shop, we wouldn't be in this mess. Elena found herself laughing despite everything. There was something refreshing about Luca's bluntness. His refusal to take the situation, or his brother, too seriously. Adrian's expression softened further at the sound of her laughter. You should go back upstairs. We're heading out soon. How soon? 20 minutes. 20 minutes until Adrian walked into potential death. Elena's amusement vanished. Can I talk to you? Alone. Adrian glanced at Luca, who held up his hands. I'll go check weapons. Try not to be too emotionally constipated, brother. You're a pain in my ass. That's literally my job description. Luca disappeared toward what Elena assumed was an armory or something equally terrifying. Adrian moved closer to her, his gray eyes searching her face. Are you okay? Did Marco explain everything? Yes. And no, I'm not okay. You're about to go do something incredibly dangerous and Elena stopped, unsure how to finish that sentence. You what? I don't want you to die. Something in Adrian's expression cracked. Elena. I know I barely know you. I know this whole situation is insane. But the idea of you not coming back, she took a shaky breath. It terrifies me. Adrian's hand lifted, cupping her face with surprising gentleness. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. I'm coming back. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Because I have something to come back to now. What? You. The word hung between them. Heavy with meaning. Adrian, you don't even know me. Then let me know you. Let me come back tonight and take you to dinner. Somewhere nice. Somewhere normal. Where we can talk like regular people instead of, he gestured around them. This. A date? You're asking me on a date before going to potentially die. Bad timing. The worst. So is that a no? Elena stared at him. At this beautiful, dangerous, complicated man who'd upended her life and was now asking her out like a nervous teenager. It's a yes, she heard herself say. On one condition. Anything. Come back alive. Adrian's smile was real. Warm. It transformed his entire face. Deal. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away, and pressed his lips to her forehead. Soft. Reverent. Like she was something sacred. Stay here. Stay safe. Marco has orders to get you out if anything happens. Don't fight him on it. Adrian. Promise me, Elena. She nodded, not trusting her voice. Adrian held her gaze for one more moment. Then he was moving, grabbing a jacket, weapons, keys. Becoming someone else. Someone harder. Luca emerged, similarly armed. He winked at Elena. Don't worry. I'll keep the idiot alive. You better. Plus, I want to hear about this date. Someone needs to teach him how normal human courtship works. Luca, shut up. Make me. The brothers headed for the door. Elena followed, her heart in her throat. At the threshold, Adrian paused. Looked back. Elena. Yeah, thank you. For what? For making me want tomorrow. And then they were gone. The door closing with a finality that made Elena's chest ache. She stood in the empty house, listening to the sound of their car pulling away. Marco appeared from somewhere deeper in the house. Come on. Let's get you set up in the office. Got security feeds we can watch. You should see what you're waiting for. Elena followed him to a room lined with monitors. They showed various locations across Brooklyn, warehouses, street corners, the entrance to what looked like an abandoned factory. That's where they're meeting, Marco said, pointing to the factory feed. Old Domino Sugar Refinery. Been closed for years. Perfect place for this kind of thing. Because no witnesses? Because it's neutral ground. No advantage to either side. Marco settled into a chair, pulling up additional feeds. Now we wait. Elena sank into another chair, her eyes glued to the screens. Somewhere in that digital maze, Adrian was walking toward danger. And all she could do was watch. Later that night, Adrian pulled up to the factory with Luca and 5 other men. The building loomed against the night sky, a massive brick structure that had once processed sugar from around the world. Now it was just a shell. Empty. Hollow. Perfect for violence. Radio check, Adrian said quietly. His earpiece crackled. Marco's voice came through, reading you loud and clear, boss. Got eyes on 6 heat signatures inside. 3 on the main floor. 2 on the catwalks. 1 in back. Volkov. Main floor. Center position. Of course he is. Dramatic bastard. Adrian checked his weapon. Luca, you're my shadow. Don't engage unless necessary. Define necessary. Someone shoots at me. Got it. They exited the vehicles, moving with coordinated precision. Adrian's crew fanned out, taking positions around the perimeter. Adrian and Luca entered through the main doors. The interior was cavernous. Rusted machinery rose like sculptures. Pigeons nested in the rafters. The air smelled like decay and old sugar. And in the center, illuminated by portable lights, stood Dmitry Volkov. He was shorter than Adrian expected. Stocky. Balding. Wearing an expensive suit that looked wrong in the industrial wasteland. But his eyes were cold. Dead. Shark eyes. Adrian Moretti. Volkov's accent was thick. Russian. You came. I wasn't sure you would. I don't run from threats. No. You make them. Volkov smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. You've been busy. Killing my men. Disrupting my operations. Very aggressive for a family that claims to want peace. Your men attacked first. They were defending our interests. In my territory. Without permission. Yes. Territory. Volkov began to circle slowly. Such an old-fashioned concept. Don't you think? These invisible lines we draw. These rules we pretend matter. They matter because we agree they matter. Remove that agreement and everything falls apart. Exactly. Volkov's smile widened. So, let's remove it. Adrian's hand drifted closer to his weapon. That's not going to happen. No? Even to save the girl. Adrian's blood ran cold. What? The florist. Elena Bennett. Beautiful woman. Terrible shame what might happen to her if we can't reach an understanding. If you touch her. You'll what? Kill me? My men have orders. If I don't walk out of here, they go to your safe house. To her. Volkov's expression was calm. Matter of fact. So here's my offer. You give me Red Hook. The shipping operations. Everything south of Atlantic Avenue. And I let you keep the girl. Adrian's mind raced. Red Hook was worth millions. Controlled half the shipping that came through Brooklyn. But Elena. Think about it, Volkov continued. What's territory compared to love? To life? Boss, Marco's voice crackled in Adrian's ear. We've got a problem. 3 vehicles just pulled up to the safe house. Armed men. Adrian's heart stopped. They'd been played. The meeting was a distraction. The real move was against Elena. Luca, Adrian said quietly. We're leaving. Now. But. Now. Volkov laughed. Running away? How disappointing. We're not done, Adrian said, backing toward the exit. No? Then perhaps you'd like to stay. Watch as my men collect your pretty little flower girl. Adrian's control snapped. He drew and fired in one smooth motion. The shot took Volkov in the shoulder. Not fatal. But enough. Chaos erupted. Volkov's men opened fire from the catwalks. Adrian's crew returned fire from outside. Move. Adrian shouted at Luca. They ran for the exit, bullets sparking off metal around them. Adrian's phone was already out, calling Marco. Get her out. Now. Already on it, boss. Engaging hostiles. Elena. She's safe. I've got her. But we're going to be busy for a minute. The line went dead. Adrian and Luca burst out of the factory. Piled into their vehicle. Drive. Adrian ordered. Red Hook. Fast as you can. As they screamed through Brooklyn streets, Adrian's mind conjured every terrible possibility. Elena hurt. Elena taken. Elena dead. She's going to be fine, Luca said, reading his brother's expression. Marco's good. He'll protect her. He better. Or Volkov won't be the only one who dies tonight. Int. Red Hook safe house, earlier. Elena had been watching the security feeds with Marco when the first vehicle appeared on screen. Black SUV. Tinted windows. Moving slowly down the street. That's not one of ours, Marco said, his voice tight. He grabbed his phone, texting rapidly. Boss, we have company. Another vehicle appeared. Then a third. Shit. Marco stood abruptly. Bennett, we need to move. Now. What's happening? They're hitting the house. Come on. He grabbed her arm, not rough, but urgent, and pulled her toward the back of the house. Elena's heart hammered. Where are we going? Garage. There's a car. Keys in the visor. You remember that, right? Boss told you. Yes, but... The front door exploded inward. Wood splintering. Men shouting in Russian. Marco shoved Elena into a closet. Stay here. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Marco. Trust me. He closed the door, plunging her into darkness. Elena pressed her hand over her mouth, trying to muffle her breathing. Through the crack in the door, she could see Marco moving toward the stairs. He had a gun in each hand. Gentlemen, Marco called out. You're trespassing. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Give us the girl. No one needs to die tonight. Everyone dies eventually. Question is when. Gunfire erupted. Elena flinched, pressing herself against the back of the closet. The sounds were deafening, shots, shouting, breaking glass. Then silence. Footsteps approaching her hiding spot. The closet door opened. Elena's scream died in her throat. Marco stood there, bleeding from a cut on his forehead but alive. Come on. Out the back. Don't look at anything. Just keep moving. He pulled her through the house. Elena tried not to look, but she caught glimpses. Bodies. Blood. Destruction. Marco had fought off 3 men. Alone. They made it to the garage. Marco yanked open the car door, practically throwing Elena inside. Drive to the address in the GPS. It's already programmed. Don't stop for anything. What about you? I'm staying. Making sure no one follows. He pressed something into her hand. A phone. Boss will call you. Answer it. Marco. Go. Elena's hands shook as she started the car. Found the keys in the visor just like Adrian said. The garage door opened automatically. She pulled out into the alley, her heart in her throat. In her rearview mirror, she saw Marco re-entering the house. Going back to fight alone. Elena drove through Red Hook streets, following the GPS blindly. She was shaking so hard she could barely grip the wheel. The phone Marco gave her rang. She answered on speaker. Hello. Elena. Adrian's voice. Tight with tension. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. Marco got me out. There were men. I know. I'm so sorry. I should have anticipated this. Should have. Adrian, stop. I'm okay. I'm in the car. Following the GPS. Good. That'll take you to my father's house. You'll be safe there. I'm 10 minutes behind you. Marco's still at your house. He's fighting them alone. Marco can handle himself. And backup is already on the way. A pause. I'm coming for you. Just stay on the route. Don't stop. Okay. Elena. Yeah. I'm sorry. For all of this. For putting you in danger. Just get here. We'll talk about apologies later. She heard him exhale. Okay. See you soon. The line didn't disconnect. Adrian stayed on with her. Silent. Just breathing. It should have been awkward. Instead, it was comforting. Elena drove through the night, following the GPS, listening to Adrian breathe on the other end of the line. And despite everything, the fear, the violence, the insanity, she felt something she hadn't expected. Safe. Because somewhere in this nightmare, Adrian Moretti was fighting his way back to her. And she believed he'd make it. Chapter 3. The Moretti estate was exactly what Elena expected and nothing like she imagined. Yes, it was massive, a sprawling Italian villa on 5 acres overlooking the Narrows. But it also felt warm. Lived in. There were children's bikes on the lawn. A basketball hoop in the driveway. Lights glowing in windows that suggested actual people lived here, not just Mafia royalty. Elena pulled up to the gates, which opened automatically. The GPS directed her to a circular driveway. Before she could even turn off the car, the front door opened. An older man emerged, late 60s, silver hair, sharp eyes. He moved with the confidence of someone used to command. Vincent Moretti. Adrian's father. Elena's hands tightened on the steering wheel. This was the head of the Moretti family. The man who'd built an empire on violence and fear. And she was about to meet him wearing borrowed clothes and still shaking from a gunfight. Vincent approached the car, opening her door with old-world courtesy. "Miss Bennett. Welcome. I'm Vincent." His voice was gentler than she expected. Accented remnants of his childhood in Sicily. "Thank you for having me." Elena wasn't sure what the protocol was for Mafia safe houses. Vincent's lips quirked. "My son called ahead. Explained the situation. Come inside. You look like you could use a drink." He wasn't wrong. Elena followed him into the house. The interior was beautiful, marble floors, art on the walls, but also family photos everywhere. Children at various ages. Holiday gatherings. Normal life documented in frames. Vincent led her to a sitting room, gesturing to a comfortable couch. "Please. Sit." He poured 2 glasses of amber liquid from a crystal decanter. Handed her one. "Whiskey. 18-year-old Macallan. Best thing for shock." Elena took it gratefully, sipping. The burn helped ground her. Vincent sat across from her, studying her with the same intense gaze his son had. "Adrian should be here within 10 minutes. He and Luca are fine. Minor injuries only. And Marco. Marco is Marco. Unkillable." Vincent smiled slightly. "He's handled worse." They sat in silence for a moment. Elena's hands were still shaking. She set down the whiskey before she spilled it. "I know you must have questions," Vincent said. "So many I don't know where to start." "Start with the most important one." Elena took a breath. "Is this my life now? Running? Hiding? Looking over my shoulder?" Vincent's expression grew serious. "That depends on tonight. On what Adrian does next." He leaned forward slightly. "My son has spent 15 years in this life. 15 years of violence and choices that keep him awake at night. And in all that time, I've never seen him care about someone the way he cares about you. He doesn't even know me. Doesn't matter. Sometimes we meet someone and just know. I felt that way about my wife. Knew within 5 minutes of meeting her that she'd change everything." "Did she?" "Completely. Made me better. Made me want to be better." Vincent's eyes were distant. "That's what love does. It makes you want to be worthy of it." "Love? We just met. This isn't." The front door burst open. Adrian appeared, slightly bloodied but alive. His gray eyes scanned the room frantically until they landed on Elena. Relief washed over his face. "Elena." She stood without thinking. Adrian crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. Held her like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to earth. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I'm so fucking sorry. I should have protected you better. Should have." "Stop." Elena pulled back to look at him. "I'm fine. Marco got me out. I'm fine. You had to hide in a closet while men with guns invaded a house. You had to drive through Brooklyn terrified. That's not fine. But I survived. We both survived." Adrian's hands framed her face, his thumbs brushing her cheekbones. "When I heard they were at the house, when I thought I might lose you before I even had the chance to." He stopped, seeming to realize they had an audience. Vincent stood smoothly. "I'll give you 2 some privacy. Elena, guest room is upstairs, second door on the left. There's clothes and everything you need. Make yourself at home. He left, closing the door behind him with a soft click. Adrian and Elena stood facing each other, the intensity between them almost unbearable. Before I even had the chance to what? Elena asked softly. To know you. Really know you. Adrian's voice was rough. To take you to dinner like a normal person. To hear about your childhood and your dreams and why you chose flowers. To make you laugh. 2. Elena kissed him. She didn't plan it. Didn't think about it. Just rose on her toes and pressed her lips to his. For a heartbeat, Adrian froze. Then he was kissing her back. Hungry. Desperate. Like she was air and he'd been drowning. His hands slid into her hair. Her arms wrapped around his neck. They fit together like they'd been designed for this exact moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. That was a terrible idea? Perfect. He smiled, that real smile that transformed him. But probably a terrible idea too. Why? Because now I'm never going to be able to let you go. Elena's heart hammered. Who says I want you to? Adrian pulled back, studying her face. Elena, you need to understand what you're saying. What being with me means. The danger. The lifestyle. The choices I've made. I know what it means. I watched men break into a house tonight trying to grab me. I drove through Brooklyn scared out of my mind. I'm not naive about what your world is. Then why? Because when I thought you might die tonight, something in me broke, Elena admitted. Because I've spent the last 9 years playing it safe. Keeping people at arm's length. Building a small, quiet life where nothing could hurt me again. She met his eyes. And then you walked into my shop. And suddenly that safe little life felt empty. Suddenly I wanted more. Wanted to feel something. Even if it scares me. Even if it's dangerous. Adrian stared at her. You're insane. Probably. We've known each other for less than 24 hours. I know. This is the worst possible foundation for a relationship. I know that too. And you still. Yes. Elena kissed him again. Softer this time. I still want to try. Adrian's arms tightened around her. Okay. Then we try. But my way. We do this right. What does that mean? It means I take you to dinner. Somewhere nice. Somewhere normal. Where we talk like regular people. Where I learn your favorite color and whether you're a morning person and if you like Italian food. Elena smiled against his lips. I do like Italian food. Good. Because I know a place. Family owned. Best pasta in Brooklyn. My grandmother used to take me there every Sunday after church. Sounds perfect. Tomorrow night? Isn't there a war you need to finish? Adrian's expression hardened slightly. The war's over. Volkov's done. He won't be a problem anymore. You killed him. No. But I hurt him. Hurt his reputation. Proved he can't touch what's mine and get away with it. His gray eyes were intense. You're safe now, Elena. I made sure of it. At what cost? Doesn't matter. You're safe. That's all that matters. They stood holding each other in Vincent Moretti's sitting room, two people from completely different worlds who'd somehow found each other in the chaos. I should go, Elena said, though she made no move to leave his arms. It's late. You're hurt. We both need sleep. Stay. The word was quiet. Vulnerable. I'm not asking for anything. Just stay. Let me hold you. Let me know you're really okay. Elena nodded. Adrian led her upstairs to a guest room. Large. Comfortable. With windows overlooking the harbor. They lay down together on top of the covers, still fully clothed. Adrian pulled her close, his arms wrapped protectively around her. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For not running. For giving us a chance. Thank you for coming back. I promised I would. You keep your promises then? Always. He pressed a kiss to her hair. Always. Elena closed her eyes, listening to Adrian's heartbeat. Strong. Steady. Alive. Tomorrow, they'd have to figure out what came next. Tomorrow, reality would intrude. But tonight, in this moment, she let herself just be. Be held. Be protected. Be wanted. And it felt like coming home. Chapter 4. 3 months. Elena stood at the railing overlooking the East River, watching the sun paint Manhattan's skyline in shades of gold and rose. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Smiled before turning around. Adrian approached carrying 2 cups of coffee and a bag from her favorite bakery. "Black, 1 sugar," he said, handing her a cup. "And those almond croissants you pretend you don't love." "I don't pretend. I openly love them. You said last week they were too indulgent." "Past me was an idiot." Adrian laughed, and Elena still marveled at how that sound had become familiar. Normal. How this man who'd first appeared in her shop like something from a fever dream was now just Adrian. Her Adrian. They'd had their first date at that Italian restaurant he'd mentioned. Then a second. A third. Before Elena knew it, a month had passed. Then 2. Then 3. Her shop had been destroyed in the initial attack, but Adrian had helped her find a new space. Better space. In Red Hook, near his house. Petal and Shadow, she'd renamed it. A nod to where she'd been and what she'd found. Sophie had eventually come around, after approximately 6,000 questions and a background check she'd paid for herself. Marcus had been easier to convince, mostly because he was terrified of Adrian. Elena had moved most of her things to Adrian's house 2 weeks ago. They hadn't officially decided she was moving in. It just happened. Clothes migrating from her apartment. Her toothbrush appearing in his bathroom. Her books on his shelves. Building a life together. "What are you thinking about?" Adrian asked, wrapping his arm around her waist. "How weird this is. Weird good or weird bad?" "Weird perfect." Elena leaned into him. 3 months ago, I was just a florist. Alone. Safe. Boring. And now? Now I'm a florist dating a mob boss. Slightly less alone. Definitely not safe. Absolutely not boring. Adrian's chest rumbled with laughter. "When you put it that way, I sound like a terrible life choice. The worst." Elena turned in his arms to face him. "But also the best." His gray eyes softened in the way they did only for her. Yeah. They'd fallen into an easy rhythm over the past 3 months. Mornings in Adrian's kitchen, he still cooked breakfast while she made coffee. Afternoons at her shop, where he'd sometimes appear to check security, but really just wanted to watch her work. Evenings at the house, cooking together, talking about everything and nothing. He'd introduced her to the family properly. Vincent, who treated her with old-world respect and kept slipping her family recipes. Sophia, Adrian's mother, who'd cried when they met and immediately started planning hypothetical weddings. Gianna, Adrian's sister, who'd flown in from California specifically to vet Elena and ended up becoming one of her closest friends. And Luca, who'd appointed himself Elena's unofficial brother and spent most family dinners embarrassing Adrian with stories from their childhood. It was chaotic and loud and sometimes terrifying. It was family. Something Elena hadn't had in 9 years. "Sophie wants to have dinner Friday," Elena said, biting into her croissant. "Her, Marcus, you, and me. Double date." Adrian made a face. "Marcus is terrified of me." "Yes. It's hilarious. I've been nothing but nice to him. You answered the door with a gun last time they visited. I didn't know they were coming. You said Thursday. They showed up Wednesday. And your first instinct was to answer armed?" "My first instinct is always to answer armed. That's just good sense." Elena shook her head, smiling. "You're ridiculous. You love it." "Unfortunately, I do." They stood watching the sunset, comfortable in each other's presence. A jogger passed. A family with kids. Normal Brooklyn evening activities. Elena's life had found a new normal. One that included security details and coded language, and knowing which restaurants were family-friendly in the mob sense rather than the children sense. But it also included this. Quiet moments. Laughter. Love. "I need to tell you something," Adrian said suddenly, his voice shifting to that serious tone that meant business. Elena's stomach tightened. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. It's just, I've been thinking about the business. About what I want my life to look like." "Okay. I'm stepping back." "Not completely. I can't walk away entirely without causing problems." But I'm delegating most operations to Marco and my father, taking a more advisory role. Elena's eyes widened. Adrian, that's huge. Does your father know? We've been discussing it for weeks. He understands. He did something similar when he met my mother. Adrian's hands found hers. I don't want to be the guy who's always looking over his shoulder, who can't take his girlfriend to dinner without calculating exit strategies, who comes home with blood on his clothes. I've never asked you to change. I know, but I want to. For me. Because I'm tired of living half a life. Of surviving instead of actually living. His gray eyes were intense. You showed me what it feels like to want tomorrow. To plan for next week, next month, next year. I don't want to lose that. Elena's throat tightened. What are you saying? I'm saying I want a future with you. A real one. Not just stolen moments between crises. I want to wake up next to you every morning without wondering if it's the last time. I want to argue about whose turn it is to do dishes. I want to watch you work in your shop and know I'm coming home to you after. He pulled something from his pocket. A small velvet box. Elena's heart stopped. I know it's fast, Adrian said, opening the box to reveal a stunning ring, simple, elegant, with a diamond that caught the sunset light. I know we've only been together 3 months. I know the rational thing would be to wait. But I've spent 15 years being rational. Being careful. Calculating every move. He took her hand. And then I met you. And suddenly rational didn't matter. Careful didn't matter. All that mattered was that I'd found someone who made me want to be better. Who looked at me and saw not what I've done, but who I could be. Adrian. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm asking if you'll consider marrying me someday. If you'll build a life with me. If you'll take this insane chance on us. Tears streamed down Elena's face. You're serious. Completely. Your family loves you. My father already asked when I was going to make an honest woman of you. His words, not mine. My friends. Sophie already knows. I asked her permission last week. She said, and I quote, if you hurt her, I know people who can make you disappear. But also, yes, you have my blessing. Elena laughed through her tears. She did not say that. She absolutely did. Marcus looked like he was going to faint. They stood on the Brooklyn Bridge Park promenade as the sun set over Manhattan, the city lights beginning to twinkle on. This is crazy, Elena whispered. I know. We barely know each other. I know that too. Every logical part of my brain is screaming that this is too fast, too soon, too much. Adrian's expression shifted, preparing for rejection. Then we wait. We don't have to. But the illogical part? The part that makes terrible decisions and takes stupid risks. Elena smiled through her tears. That part is screaming yes. Yes to all of it. Yes to you. Yes to us. Yes to this beautiful, terrifying, impossible life we're building. She held out her hand. Ask me properly. Adrian's face transformed. That smile she loved, the real one that made him look younger, lighter, free. He knelt on one knee, right there on the promenade, while joggers and families and tourists flowed around them. Elena Rose Bennett, will you marry me? Will you take a chance on a former mob enforcer trying to go mostly legitimate? Will you deal with my insane family and my overprotective tendencies and the fact that I still can't answer the door without checking who it is first? Yes. The word came out choked with emotion. Yes to all of it. Adrian slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. He'd probably been watching her long enough to know her ring size. The thought should have been creepy. Instead, it was perfectly them. He stood, pulling her into his arms, and kissed her as the sun set over Brooklyn. People around them applauded. New Yorkers always appreciated a good proposal. When they finally broke apart, both laughing and crying, Elena looked at her hand. The ring caught the light, sending rainbow prisms across her skin. I can't believe I'm engaged to Adrian Moretti, she said. I can't believe you said yes. I'm a little surprised myself. Having second thoughts already? Elena looked up at him, this man who'd walked into her shop on a rainy February night and changed everything. Who'd protected her, fought for her, chosen her. Not even a little bit. Epilogue. The new shop was everything Elena had dreamed of and more. bigger than her old space, with huge windows overlooking the Red Hook waterfront. Exposed brick walls lined with shelving for vases and supplies. A proper workspace with room to actually move. And in the back, a small office where she could handle the business side without her desk being covered in pollen. The sign above the door read Petal and Shadow in elegant script, with smaller text underneath, flowers for all occasions. Sophie had designed the logo a single rose half in light, half in shadow. It was perfect. Currently, Elena was elbow-deep in centerpieces for a wedding Saturday. 40 tables, each needing arrangements of white hydrangeas, blush roses, and trailing ivy. The bell above the door chimed. "We're actually closed." Elena looked up and stopped. Luca stood in the doorway, looking uncharacteristically serious. "Hey, got a minute?" "Of course. What's wrong?" Luca moved into the shop, his hands in his pockets. "Nothing's wrong. I wanted to talk to you. About Adrian. About what you're getting into." Elena set down her pruning shears. "Okay. Look, I love my brother. He's the best man I know. But he's also been through some serious shit. Things that changed him. Hardened him." Luca met her eyes. "And I need to know you understand that. That you're not expecting him to be someone he's not. I know who Adrian is." "Do you?" "Because he's been on his best behavior with you. But there are parts of his life, parts of his past, that are dark. Really dark. He's told me some of it. Some. Not all." Luca's expression was conflicted. "He's killed people, Elena. Not in self-defense. Not in the heat of the moment. Planned, calculated executions. He's hurt people to send messages. He's made choices that would horrify you if you knew the details." Elena was quiet for a moment. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want to make sure you know what you're signing up for. That you're not going to wake up one day and realize you've married someone you can't live with." "I appreciate the concern. Really. But I know Adrian isn't perfect. I know he's done terrible things. He's never pretended otherwise. And that doesn't bother you?" "Of course it bothers me. But people aren't just the worst things they've done. They're also the choices they make going forward." Elena picked up a rose, trimming the stem carefully. "Adrian is stepping back from the family business. He's trying to build something different. Something better. And I want to support that. What if he can't change? What if the violence is too much a part of who he is? Then we'll deal with it together." Elena met Luca's eyes. "I'm not naive. I know this life comes with complications. But I also know that when I'm with Adrian, I feel more alive than I have in years. He makes me want to take risks. To be brave. To choose something bigger than my safe little world." Luca was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, that easy grin that was so different from Adrian's rare smiles. "Okay. Just wanted to make sure. That I'm not some starry-eyed idiot. That you're tough enough for my brother. For this family." He moved toward the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, I think you're exactly what he needs. Someone who sees the good in him but doesn't ignore the bad. Someone who calls him on his bullshit. I do that a lot. Good. He needs it." Luca opened the door. "Oh, and don't tell him I came by. He'll think I'm trying to scare you off." "Aren't you?" "Nah. Just making sure you're sure. Big difference." After Luca left, Elena stood among her flowers, thinking about what he'd said. She wasn't naive. She knew Adrian's past was complicated. Violent. That there were things he'd done that would probably haunt him forever. But she also knew the man who brought her coffee every morning. Who listened to her talk about flower varieties like they were the most fascinating thing in the world. Who'd spent 3 hours last week helping her aunt move furniture because family helps family. People were complicated. Messy. Made up of good and bad in equal measure. And Elena had chosen to see all of Adrian, the darkness and the light, and love him anyway. The bell chimed again. This time it was Adrian himself, carrying takeout bags. "Thai food," he announced. "From that place you like. I got the pad see ew extra spicy like you prefer." Elena smiled. "You're perfect." "I'm really not." "Perfect for me then." Adrian set down the food and pulled her into his arms. "How was your day?" "Good. Productive." "Your brother stopped by." Adrian tensed slightly. "What did Luca want?" "To make sure I know what I'm getting into." To warn me about your dark past and complicated present. I'm going to kill him. No, you're not. He was being protective. It was actually kind of sweet. Sweet. Right. Adrian's jaw tightened. What did you tell him? That I know exactly who you are. And I'm marrying you anyway. Some of the tension left his shoulders. Even knowing. Everything. Yes. Elena cupped his face in her hands. Stop waiting for me to run, Adrian. I'm not going anywhere. You say that now. I'll say it tomorrow too. And the day after. And the day after that. She kissed him softly. You're stuck with me. Adrian pulled her closer, burying his face in her hair. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. They stood in her flower shop as the sun set over Red Hook, holding each other among the roses and lilies and all the beautiful, temporary things Elena had built her life around. Flowers were ephemeral. Here for a moment, then gone. But this, what she and Adrian were building, this was meant to last. 1 year later. The wedding was not small. Despite Elena's protests, the Moretti family had opinions. Many opinions. About venue and guest list and whether it was appropriate to serve anything other than Italian food. They'd compromised. The ceremony was in the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens Cherry Esplanade, Elena's choice. Intimate. Beautiful. With only close family and friends. The reception was at Vincent's estate, the family's choice. Bigger. Louder. With enough food to feed half of Brooklyn. Now, standing in a small room off the ceremony space, Elena looked at herself in the mirror. The dress was simple. Ivory lace, fitted bodice, flowing skirt. Her hair was down, tucked with baby's breath and small white roses. She carried a bouquet she'd made herself, blush roses, white lilies, and eucalyptus. The same flowers from that first night. You look beautiful, Sophie said, appearing behind her. She was Elena's maid of honor, wearing a soft gray dress that complemented Elena's ivory. I look terrified. That too. But mostly beautiful. Sophie hugged her carefully, avoiding the dress. I can't believe you're actually doing this. Having second thoughts about your blessing? Not even a little. Adrian's good for you. I've never seen you this happy. Sophie pulled back, her eyes suspiciously bright. Your parents would have loved him. Elena's throat tightened. You think? Are you kidding? Your dad would have grilled him for hours about his intentions. Your mom would have cried and started planning grandbabies immediately. Sophie smiled. They would have seen what I see. That he loves you completely. That he'd burn down the world to keep you safe. He actually might do that. Literally. I know. It's both terrifying and romantic. A knock at the door. Gianna poked her head in. It's time. You ready? Elena took a deep breath. Yes. No. Maybe? That's the spirit. They walked through the garden toward the ceremony space. Music played, something classical and beautiful. Guests turned to look. Elena saw the Moretti family taking up several rows. Vincent and Sophia in the front, both dabbing at their eyes. Marco stood near the aisle, looking uncomfortable in a tux but smiling. Various cousins, associates, and family friends filled the other seats. On Elena's side, smaller, but no less important, sat Sophie and Marcus. Her college roommate who'd flown in from California. A few regulars from her old shop who'd become friends. The owner of the coffee shop next door who'd given her free lattes when times were tight. Her chosen family. And at the altar, standing with Luca beside him, was Adrian. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit. His hair was styled, but still slightly unruly. And his gray eyes were locked on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. He looked like he couldn't believe she was real. Like she was walking toward him in a dream. Vincent met Elena at the end of the aisle. She'd asked him to walk her down. She had no family left, and he'd become as close to a father as she'd had in 9 years. Ready? He asked quietly. Yes. He's a good man. Not perfect, but good. And he loves you more than life itself. I know. Then let's not keep him waiting. They walked down the aisle together. Elena's eyes never left Adrian's. She saw the moment he started crying, just a few tears, quickly wiped away. Saw Luca elbow him gently. saw Adrian's hands clench and unclench at his sides, like he was physically restraining himself from running to her. Vincent placed Elena's hand in Adrian's. "Take care of her," Vincent said quietly. "With my life," Adrian promised. The ceremony was beautiful. Short. The officiant spoke about love and commitment and choosing each other every day. But Elena barely heard it. All she could focus on was Adrian. The way he looked at her like she hung the moon. The way his thumb brushed across her knuckles. The way he mouthed, "I love you," when he thought no one was looking. "Elena Rose Bennett, do you take Adrian Luca Moretti to be your lawfully wedded husband? To have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part?" Elena smiled through her tears. "I do. And do you, Adrian Luca Moretti, take Elena Rose Bennett to be your lawfully wedded wife? To have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part?" Adrian's voice was steady. "Sure. I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Adrian pulled Elena close, his hands framing her face gently. "Hello, Mrs. Moretti. Hello, husband." He kissed her softly, sweetly, like they had all the time in the world. The guests erupted in applause. When they finally broke apart, both smiling like idiots, Elena felt something shift in her chest. This was real. This life she'd built with Adrian, against all odds, against all logic, was real. They walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, while their families cheered. At the reception later, after dinner and speeches and too much wine, Elena found herself on the dance floor with Adrian. A slow song played. He held her close, swaying gently. "Happy?" he asked. Ridiculously. "No regrets?" "Not one." Elena rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "You. My only regret is that I waited 3 weeks before talking to you. Could have had 3 more weeks of this. You were stalking me for those 3 weeks. That doesn't count. I prefer conducting surveillance for your protection. You were stalking." Tomato, tomato. Elena laughed, pulling back to look at him. "I love you, you know that?" "I know. I love you too." He spun her gently. "Thank you." "For what?" "For saying yes. For taking a chance on me. For seeing something in me worth loving. That's easy. You're pretty lovable when you're not being a brooding mob boss." "Former mob boss. Mostly retired." "Mostly retired mob boss," Elena corrected. They danced as the party continued around them. Family and friends celebrating. Music and laughter filling the garden. This was her life now. Chaotic and loud and sometimes dangerous. But also full of love and family and moments like this. She'd traded her safe, quiet existence for something bigger. Scarier. Better. And she'd never been happier. "What are you thinking about?" Adrian asked. "That 1.5 years ago, I was alone in my flower shop. And now I'm married to you. Dancing at our wedding. Surrounded by people I love. Life comes at you fast. The best things always do." Adrian kissed her forehead. "Come on. My father wants to make another toast. And Luca's been hitting the open bar. This should be entertaining." They rejoined the party, hand in hand, ready for whatever came next. Because that was the thing about love, real love. It didn't erase the past or guarantee the future. It just made you brave enough to try. And Elena and Adrian? They were trying. Building a life together one day at a time. One choice at a time. One moment at a time. From petal to shadow and back again. And it was perfectly, beautifully, impossibly theirs. The end.